Hey y'all, how you doing? All right, we are back on the '04 Dodge Ram 1500 half-ton lower ball joint replacement. I guess this would be part two. But first of all, I want to get something out of the way, and I want to tell you all what you've done. You went and pushed this channel up over 300 subscribers, and I have to say, I never would have imagined that when I had like just 50 subscribers. When I had 50 subscribers, I was over the moon. Now I've got like over 300, and I'm like, that's just crazy. So you all did that. You all were responsible for that, and you're great, and I love that. But anyway, all right. It's just amazing to me. It's really, really amazing to me, and I really, really seriously do appreciate that. You know, we're just over 300 subscribers, and it's really crazy. It's really great. I just love it. So thank you so much. I never would have imagined that happening, but it did, and you all are responsible for that, and I really do seriously appreciate it. So thank you so much. So now on with the video. Okay. Let me flip. Okay, earlier I had to heat this yoke. That's what I'm calling it, where the ball joint goes in at. It comes in from underneath here. I had to heat it up out here on the outside, and then took my hammer, hit it a few times, didn't get anywhere. Then as a last ditch effort, I took my C-clamp, which I call it a C-clamp, that's the ball joint press, took that, pressed it out. And I was really thankful for that, because it was looking like that son of a gun was in there to stay. Excuse me. So yes, it was looking like one of those efforts, like it was going to be a really huge, daunting task. All right, I've cleaned this up with my flap wheel on my grinder there, and I've done the same thing here too as well. I accidentally cut into this when I was cutting the top of the ball joint off. I had to cut the top of it off because it had like these little stakes in the outer rim. So that's what I did. All right, now need to get busy pressing the ball joint in. So I've measured this distance here, okay, from this groove down to the bottom, and I've measured this, and they are compatible, meaning that this little groove should stick out up here, which will allow me to put a circlip or a clip on the outside of it, around it like that. So next I need to get my oh yes, I know, I'm looking for that cup. There's a receiving cup. See, basically you got to have all of this mess, because you got to have the receiving cup and all of that stuff to get. Well, I'm missing one. Oh, there it is. Duh, right in front of me. So there you go. Is it still? No. Okay, it's not blazing hot anymore, so. Okay, it was. All right, so I've got to put this in like this, because that's how of course, that's how the old one came out. So set it in there like that. And guess I can put that on like so. And, yep, see, there we go. Now you can laugh at me. Okay. So, anyway. Alright, so I'm going to set this camera down and get this all set up here, and I'll show you more in just a second. Okay, I'm putting this in, let you all see this. So, got the press set up there, and I'll let you see. Okay, there we go. You saw it. Got her all closed up there, all the way around. Okay. There we go. We are in. Okay. Now on this ball joint here, I put a little bit of anti-seize in the hole there, the yoke where the ball joint goes in. The reason being is I wanted the ball joint to come on in. I didn't want to have to fight it every inch of the way. You know what I'm saying? And I didn't want it to get cocked one side, one way or the other. You want this thing to go in about as straight as you possibly can. You don't want it to go in cocked one way or the other. This here has installation so far has been pretty uneventful, which I'm really thankful for. Because when you're sitting here fighting installation, I tell you, it's not fun. No fun at all. Okay, there's the clip I was talking about earlier. All right, it goes in this little groove right here. So that's what I got to do next. I'm gonna get some pliers for this, and I'll be right back. Okay, y'all. All right, I got the clip on, as you can see, and I got the grease fitting on too. So just that gray boot right there has got all kinds of grease on it from the ball joint press. So anyway, this part looks to be really good. This is the Duralast Gold chassis parts, and this is the part number if you want to use these. I am not sponsored by AutoZone or Duralast or anything like that. I'm not sponsored by anybody. So if you want to use those, there you go. If you don't, that's up to you. Moog makes a really good part as well, so there you are. Okay, next I'm going to be lifting this big heavy son of a gun up here into place and get it into place and get it ready to go. That's going to be next. So I think, is this the, yeah, that's for that. Okay. All right, so let's get busy here. Okay. Now, I want to point out one difference. This also has a cotter pin, whereas the old one did not. One thing also to be aware of is that sometimes they will change stuff like this to make it better to work with the, make it a better part. And that's not just Duralast, that's everybody does that. Okay, so just something to be aware of. Okay, so when you buy the part and you get it and it ain't identical to your old one, don't worry, it's not that big a deal. Okay, sometimes they do make changes, and then not only that, sometimes some of these changes are stuff that is changed by the OEM manufacturer themselves beforehand. So let's say maybe a year or two after this truck was produced, they may have changed things. They may have went back to this style of stem on the ball joint, rather with the cotter pin and all of that. Okay, so don't lose your cool over stuff like that. Okay, all right. Let me get this big monster up here, lifted up here, and let you see all that. One thing I want to stress is that this son of a gun can be heavy, So you do want to prepare yourself. And, pieces of metal. So, yeah, see, we've got pieces of metal right here that came from the old ball joint. So I'm going to try to get you all over here so I'm not obstructing you, hopefully, anyway. Alright, so here we go. Okay. I learned something. I should probably have everything here handy. Guess what? This thing's heavy. Big surprise. Okay. Set the castle nut right there. Okay, I'm not getting it like this. Okay. Yeah, that was a job. I ain't gonna lie, that was stressful. All right. Let that rest there for just a minute. It'll let me rest. Okay. All right, I'm going to release my bungee cord from earlier. Oops. Whew. Having to fight against them bushings, control arm bushings at ride height. Okay, so as you can see, got it into place. Okay, see down here. All right, and right here. So all of that is really super important, of course, goes without saying. So I'm going to run both of those down real quick and show you a little bit more, okay? All right, be back in just a minute. Okay, y'all, we're back, and I'm tightening up the cascalated nuts on the ball joints. And just want to show you something. Whenever you're doing this, you get right there, you might think, hey, just back the nut off just a little bit. Nope, go a little bit more. So there we go, just a little bit. think that's going to be about as good as I'm going to get right there. So, you see, my hole is lined up pretty decent there. So I got to get a new cotter pin. Okay. Go ahead and do that, and then hook up my bolt on my tie rod end that needs to be replaced, which I don't have right now, so I've got to get that. And I'm going to clean up this rotor here, get all the grease off of it, so that even though these brake pads are thin, need to be replaced, you know, keep them from, at least keep them from making some noise. So, alrighty, okay. Be right back. Okay, y'all. I've got my cotter pin in right here. This is run down and tightened like you've seen on the video. And the bottom one has been run down and tightened as well. I'll go ahead and give you the sizes that you're going to need for these. The bottom one was a 1 1/16. The top one was a 15. 13/16. Okay, probably can't see that, so okay. Yeah, 13/16 for the top one here, and then this nut here on the tie rod end was also 13/16. Let me give you a little bit of advice on that. With these, they have a nut that is a self-locking. So they have a part down here that is made. It's got a hex on it, sort of like an Allen wrench. Okay, you can put a wrench on that if you have to hold it while you tighten this up. Okay, now there's also, you can also push the tie rod end down like this, and when you do, it forces that down into there like a wedge, and it keeps the stem from turning. So if you have to do it, like, you know, hold this and use a regular wrench on this, you can. Whatever whichever you want to do. So either way. But I thought I'd let you know about that. Okay, I'm going to hang my brake caliper next. So now I'm not going to give these brake pads a lot of attention. As you can see, they're getting pretty thin. Gonna have to be replaced pretty soon. So that's another issue. We're gonna have to tackle that and the tie rod end. As a matter of fact, I think my daughter has ordered a tie rod end already for this. So let me get that off there. Oh. There we go. Okay. Duh. All right. On these calipers, make sure you put the top in first and then the bottom end. Okay? So, yeah. And when you're doing this, make sure your slides are still functioning. Okay, these are pretty good. They're not bad. They will get cleaned up and cleaned out, new grease put in here when I do the brake job on this. So that'll be later. All right, let me get the bolts on here. Oh yeah, So I think these are 13 millimeter. So the retaining bolts for the calipers. Now I want to stress something here to you all. Because this caliper is not a fixed caliper, it slides back and forth on these slides right here. It is very important for this thing to be well lubricated. But it's also very important that you don't over tighten these bolts here, because if you over tighten them, then what happens is they're so tightened up so far, so much, that you can't do anything. When you go to take these back off, they will strip out, round off the head and everything else. So don't over tighten these. It's not necessary. Okay. All right. Let's see. Yep. This is 13 millimeter, and we'll get started here. So we're running this down. There we go. Okay. I'm going to pause this for just a second and run these two bolts down, the caliper bolts down, and then I'm going to grease that ball joint. Be right back. Okay, y'all. All right, got the bolts tightened, got the ball joint greased up. One way to know that you are getting it greased up is by observing this boot, and observing it and making sure that it squeezes, kind of expands, you know, balloons out, I guess. One thing I want to point out is I had to compress the caliper just a little bit, and when that happens, you need to be sure and press your brake pedal a couple of times, 2 or 3 times, and get those pistons out there to the pad, so that when you do start backing up or pulling forward, whatever the case may be, and you go to hit the brakes, they're there, and they're not, you know, they're not turning the steering wheel for you, or some kind of crazy stuff like that. Okay, so I just wanted to pass that along. All right, that's happened to the best of us, though. Okay, so alrighty, this job is just about wrapped up. Got to put the wheel on and get it down off the jack stands, and that's it. That's really it. So, man, the going in, I'm just gonna go ahead and tell you, the going in, putting it in, was way easier. And I like the look of the Duralast parts. They look to be a good quality part. They've got a good warranty and everything like that. So, you know, stick with a good high quality piece. Don't be cheapening out. Okay, especially if you're going to keep this thing. You know, you might say, well, I'm not going to keep it, I'm going to put the cheapest thing there is on it, and then it fails going down the road, and guess what? You're right beside it on the interstate at 75 miles an hour. How would you like to have that happen to you? Pretty rare occurrence, but, you know, just something to think about. So, all right. Anyway, if you have any questions about this or any other videos, you know what to do. You're smart. Put the question down below. I'll do the best I can to answer your questions and give you the best advice I can. Thank you so much for the likes and the shares and everything. I really seriously do appreciate it. And of course, the subscribes. You know, and if you're not subscribed, what are you waiting on? See, you get to see this. My hair all kind of, you know. So, and you get to see all of this stuff I just showed you. You know, all of that, how to do all of that. You got to see me struggle putting this thing up in here, this spindle assembly up in here. So you got to see all that. And I'll tell you what, it wasn't necessarily an easy job, but I'm glad it's over with. But I'm also glad it's done. I'm really glad it's done, because my daughter drives this truck sometimes, and I don't want her driving around on, you know, compromised chassis parts. If you remember in previous videos, we replaced these upper control arms, but the entire upper control arm. So now we're moving on to lower ball joints. The other one on the other side, like I said, isn't loose yet, but give it time. It probably will be. I'll probably just buy the ball joint and just keep it here just in case. So anyway, thank you very much, and God bless. Have a great one, and let's keep it going, okay? See ya.